Hey guys, welcome to weekly update video number 2. Just going to go over some things from the second week here. We're going to go over discussion questions from chapters 2 and 3, as well as some of the homework questions that are coming due. One of which is Sunday this week on the 8th of February. Just a reminder, make sure you're not waiting until the last minute on some of these things. As far as discussion posts go, there is no late submissions, so if you are trying to get in there at midnight or a little before, make sure you're getting stuff done well ahead of time, because if it doesn't hit submit or it logs you out for some reason, kind of SOL in so many terms, to make sure that if you don't get things input at the right time. Sorry, I'm mumbling. As far as things that are coming due, homework number 1 is due February the 8th, which is this coming Sunday. Homework number 2 is due February 15th, which is the following Sunday. So you got back-to-back weekends where something's going to be due. Homework number 1 is kind of a easy assignment meant to get you guys going here. Basically what you need to do is watch a movie, and as of now, which I'm recording this at 11 a.m. There are only 5 submissions out of 100 plus students. So you guys need to make sure you're getting in there and watching a movie, which isn't really that difficult. And then reading through the questions, make sure that you are answering some of these questions in a one-page paper. There's some specific instructions as far as what I expect from the paper as far as font, things like that. So make sure you're following those so you don't lose some points there. As far as the content of your paper, some things we want to make sure we're looking at is about your movie. How are things being portrayed? The people, the organizations, business people in general. How's the director trying to create an image in your mind about how he wants you to see these people? Is it positive? Is it negative? Do they want you to feel like some people are a little slimy? Some people are a little bit more, have a halo over their head because they want to be seen as the good people, and why? What kind of things from the readings and from just your own thoughts kind of make you feel like they're being put in a certain light, and why they want you to be that way. Provide some examples from each of your movies to make sure you're showing those things. Another aspect of this is what type of reputation is the business getting, or what type of reputation are business people getting in certain industries. If you're reading or if you're watching, excuse me, one of the several movies I have listed, a lot of them have to do with Wall Street, have to do with finances, and you get a lot of people that will have things attached to money, monetary situations, financial decisions, financial values that are portrayed that will really kind of change how people look at certain situations and how they handle things, negative, positive, different things like that. But take a look at some of the things. Provide examples from your movie when you are writing this paper, and make sure you're answering the questions that are in there. Again, that's due this Sunday, February the 8th, so make sure you're not waiting until the last minute on this. If you have any questions about other movies you could possibly put into it, please let me know. Please email me. I've had a couple students that have asked if they could do The Wolf of Wall Street. That's fine. I used to work at Blockbuster Video back when there was a Blockbuster Video, and it's something I'm very familiar with most movies and most of the movies on the list and that aren't on the list that just we didn't include for whatever reason. So if you have something different you want to do, email me. Chances are I know what the movie's about, or I've probably seen it, so that should be fine. As far as homework number 2, homework number 2 is where I want you to actually personally interview someone that you personally know, and make sure that it's something that you are asking or trying to find out some information about them, about how they answer some of these questions that I have listed for you. But before you do the interview, I want to make sure that you are reading chapter 5. This goes with chapter 5 in your book, so make sure that you're reading that before you do the interview, because it's something that we want to make sure that you are understanding why they're answering certain things. Gain an understanding, gain a reasoning for why people do certain things, why people have their experiences, how they get their experiences, etc. And kind of have a basis for why some of the answers they give you make sense moving forward. You can get answers from people, but if you don't have meaning behind it, it doesn't mean anything. So make sure you're getting people that you know, people that you trust, people that you feel would be a good interview. And again, same thing, there's some specifics as far as length of paper, what to expect, font, everything like that. So make sure you're following directions, make sure you're getting the questions and doing everything you need to do. But again, if you have any questions about this stuff, please let me know. The paper is due, the interview is due on February 15th, which is Sunday. The movie homework number 1 is due on Sunday, February 8th, which is this Sunday. So make sure you're getting in there and make sure that you are getting these things done ahead of time. Okay, let's take a look at discussion question number 2. This deals with the Dennis Gioia and his situation as a recall coordinator for the Ford Motor Company back when the Pinto Fires case was going on. Now, what the question was asking is for you to put yourself in his place and make the decision based on the pertinent facts you have available to you at the time. One of the things that a lot of people have done, which is something that it's very hard to get away from, is the idea that we're looking at things through the goggles of 20/20 hindsight and knowing what's already happened. So if you're Gioia at this point, you don't necessarily know how many thousands of people have been hurt, burned, killed by these fires and by these things happening. What you have in place are the things that you know, relevant facts, relevant information. So the things that you looked at previous to this, as you read through the case, those case questions we asked you to kind of go through and answer for yourself and try and figure out, knowing who's affected, know the relevant facts. Some of the things like the fact that the NHTSA had agreed to what was being done and agreed to what Ford was doing. Knowing the financial situations, the obligations to the company, obligations to shareholders, stakeholders within the company, knowing that you don't want to cost people money because essentially they're going to get angry. Again, anger without the knowledge of the fact that you know that thousands of people may have been hurt, burned, killed, whatever. It puts it in a different situation. But understanding that you're going to have some of these feelings in your gut and kind of going based on that. What are your values that you have if you were in his situation, and how strong are those values? How willing to be committed to what you're doing are you? If you make this decision knowing that it's going to cost you your livelihood, your money, your source of income, possibly cause your family to suffer because of it. And knowing that you probably will have to change industries because people aren't going to want to hire you if you've cost a company millions of dollars. So those are things that you need to make sure that you're kind of aware of. So it's something that makes the decision much more difficult than what we have and what a lot of you guys have done in realizing and saying that there's no way that I would not recall this. I can't believe that people would not do this, because it's not quite that easy. It's just something that when you're put in those situations, you need to understand that it's not always a black and white, this is a clear decision. If you have a very strong moral compass and you have very strong values, it makes this decision easier, but it's not something that definitely happens. One of the things that, again, financial situations that this alludes to is the idea that there is a formula out there, and in social media in the last decade or so, or I forget when Fight Club actually came out, but they've actually played on this very situation with one of their clips. I'm going to show you something real quick.
I was a recall coordinator. My job was to apply the formula.
Usually if it went to the windshield, 3 points.
A new car built by my company leaves somewhere traveling at 60 miles per hour. The rear differential locks up.
The teenager's braces are wrapped around the backseat ashtray. Might make a good anti-smoking ad.
The car crashes and burns with everyone trapped inside. Now, should we initiate a recall?
The father must have been you. Did you see where the fat's burned in the seat? Polyester shirt. Very modern art.
Take the number of vehicles in the field, A, multiply it by the probable rate of failure, B, then multiply the result by the average out-of-court settlement, C. A times B times C equals X. If X is less than the cost of a recall, we don't do one.
Are there a lot of these kinds of accidents?
You wouldn't believe.
Which car company do you work for?
A major one.
Okay, so looking at that, and again, this is kind of a Hollywood version of it, so they make it a little bit more cynical with people playing, having bad jokes in the background, which I'm sure would not fly real well for an actual recall coordinator, knowing that they're going to have to make some of these decisions. But again, it's something that you need to understand that some companies do have these types of formulas, these types of situations in place for these very circumstances. So it's something that it's not always going to be a strictly ethical, moral decision or based on your values. It's going to be what can you prove, how much it's going to cost, and then making that decision and saying, can you live with this if it's something that's good for the company. Again, it's a very, very difficult type of thing to look at and type of thing to do. So it's something that again, the answers that you guys gave for the most part were based on what's the right thing to do, but we have to get away from having those hindsight goggles available. Okay, moving on to discussion number 3, or chapter 3 discussion. Looking at Gioia's reflection that was in chapter 3, he was able to recall this idea about what happened and kind of go through some of the process about what he was aware of, what he wasn't. And the question we pose to you is that is a person behaving unethically if they don't necessarily know that it's something that, if they don't know what's going on, if things aren't being construed in ethical terms, if they have no actual moral awareness, is it something that they should be seen as doing something unethical? Now, the main idea with this, the main concept that you want to make sure you get from this is the idea that we need to, well, this is very hard to do, especially if you're a new employee, and a lot of you guys gave good examples about if you're a new employee coming onto a job, coming into a team, how far do you have to go into things, how much detail do you need to know in order to make the right decisions, and how much do you know about the background of what's going on, about why you're doing certain things. But how much do you hold people responsible for things that they don't necessarily make themselves aware of? If it's something that someone is doing something, or someone is not digging deep enough, then it's something that you want to make sure that you're doing your due diligence. But if it's something where someone is asked to create a spreadsheet, run through some data, and simply report findings, things like that, then maybe it's something that you don't need to ask a lot of questions. You don't need to find out a lot about it. But how much do you hold that person responsible for some of the things that they were a part of, and even if it's unknowingly? And a lot of you guys had some really good responses. Like I said, a lot of you guys had some good examples in there talking about new employees coming into a situation and how you could excuse some of those people. I think the key with this, again, is trying to figure out, if you realize something's going wrong, then when do you make that decision? If you realize that, hey, look, something's just a little bit fishy, when do you make that decision and try and figure out a way to fix that wrong, or a way to stop whatever is unethical? And that's what we need to try and figure out with this question. As for the rest of this, that's what we have for Chapter 2, Chapter 3. Make sure you guys are reading ahead Chapter 4, Chapter 5, get into the next discussion questions. Also, make sure that you guys are looking to try and get registered to take your test to the proctoring services, going through making sure your paperwork's filled out, making sure you're doing things you need to do for that. The last day to complete exam number 1 is February 20th, and while it's still about 2 weeks away, you don't want to wait until the last minute. Get in touch with or get the forms filled out and get the proctoring service stuff taken care of, and get your appointment set so you can take that stuff. Hopefully, if you guys have worked ahead and you started moving forward, I'll go ahead and have the next videos or the Chapter 10, Chapter 11 updates done in the next week or so, so we can move forward with that if you are working ahead. Kudos to you if you are. As always, if you have any questions, email me, email Gannon, and we'll help you out as best we can, but I'll see you next time.